I graduated top 1% UCLA Business Economics with a background in marketing and analyzed over thousands of personal and physical brands in my career. So this is how Jennie Kim solved the problem of being unlikable that you or your business might be facing. Where, you're just doing business as usual, but all of a sudden, everything you do is deemed wrong.
V or Jennie?
Jennie. Next, please. I feel like I've disappointed my fans.
Whether you're business or individual, you will at one point hit a wall where the people who used to praise and support you or your business are suddenly shitting on you.
I was confused because I was like, she looked tired the whole performance.
And how you react will either put you in the winner or loser camp.
I don't think people realize how nervous I am inside, and I'm actually literally shaking inside. But yeah, try to keep it cool.
If you don't care about K-pop or music, in fact, especially if you don't care about neither, this video is made for you. Because faceless brands don't work anymore. People don't buy products, they buy people, beliefs, backstories. The answer is simple and analogous to Jennie's story. First, no trust, no buy. Second, no story, no stickiness. Third, no loyalty, no community. So which camp would Jennie Kim be in? Winner or loser? Let's break down her 5-year plan to go from villain to hero again.
Wow, I look so young and cute.
Oh, Jesus.
If there was one person born with lucky girl syndrome, it must be Jennie Kim. A virally beautiful face and body, every opportunity in K-pop, Hollywood, commercial. Human Chanel. Gentle monster Calvin Klein can sing, rap, write, and dance. The first announced girl of Blackpink before the group name was even confirmed, who grew her brand to $23 million. But somehow, there is a way to mess everything up.
Her laziness isn't just accusations, it's her brand.
Quote, why is Jennie getting so lazy day by day? Quote, she can't perform shit. Quote, Jennie sprained her ankle for 7 consecutive years, which mysteriously heals whenever she's dancing at the club.
And I just fell in love with a gangster.
Quote, who debuted her?
I think you need to relax. But that's okay.
This is my only chance, so...
It is not about who Jennie is, but about how the audience perceives her.
It's not that deep.
Sometimes when I look like I'm really tired and angry, that is my happy face.
How did Jennie accidentally become the most targeted and hated K-pop idol of a generation?
Which city did you live in?
Do you know any cities in New Zealand?
Of course. Wellington.
How did she grow her $23 million brand through the hate? And how can you use the 5 techniques she used to prevent an unnecessary PR crisis or to get yourself out of such a sticky situation? It's all marketing, babe. As your marketing bestie who graduated top 1% UCLA Business Economics with a background in marketing, we're going to explore how a $23 million brand can still fail you even if you have the lucky girl syndrome and pretty privilege, because no brand is impeccable. Now, why is this even relevant to you other than the fact that you're part of the 1.8 billion people who attended the Blackpink tour or actually went to her Ruby tour? Honestly, it doesn't matter if you know Jennie or not. It doesn't even matter if you care about K-pop at all, because you may see yourself one way, but how does your dream client, dream job, dream boyfriend see you? That's the importance of brand, and yes, you have one. I'm creating this series to analyze pop culture brands from a marketing perspective because I want all of us to unlock the potential to build businesses and personal brands that can change our future, which includes unlocking financial freedom.
I am so grateful.
Jennie is thriving.
What a beautiful view to have while you cold plunge.
And guess what? You can make a huge impact right now. In fact, You get to decide what future episodes are about. Just fill out the form in the description to join our free email list and tell me what is it that you want to learn, whether that's personal finance, business, or marketing. I created this series to be as valuable to you as possible and to grow it into a production to have guests on like Jennie herself, which will happen if more of you share and support the show by simply giving it a 5-star rating on Apple and Spotify, or share it with someone you love, because the greatest gift you can give to someone is the power to succeed, and it's completely free to you. Now let's talk about how you and your business can succeed under harsh conditions by using the Jennie Kim playbook.
Comfortable, sexy, and iconic.
And how she did it without having to change herself, only how she is seen. So many artists, creators, and businesses want to be seen more to grow,
I bet no one's done this before.
but doing it the wrong way. And I also made the same mistake. I clipped hundreds of videos on my YouTube to share to Instagram that helped me grow 300,000 followers. But you would not believe how much time each video took to edit. 40 minutes to an hour. Times that by 200-300, that's not what you want to do all day. Until I started using Opus Clip. That created 2 weeks worth of content within just 1 hour. Absolutely mind-blowing. Their powerful AI finds the most likely moments to go viral. I customize my video layouts and captions to stay on brand, and can easily clean up the audio or visual with B-roll generation and voice enhancement. Autosync a published calendar. So if you don't want to also waste hundreds of hours editing, I'd highly encourage you to try Clip Anything from Opus. It's actually the best I tested in the market after generating hundreds of videos with 15 other providers. You're welcome. I saved you all that time. So go to the link in the description and stop wasting time on editing. But let's get back to Jennie's branding mistakes.
I used to be a fate person, but fate has disappointed me.
Now, what are the 5 missteps that made her go from ace to a quote-unquote disappointment? The spoiled, lazy princess and one of the most hated K-pop idols. And what were the 2 tactics she applied to get out of this mess? Are they working, and how can you apply them to your business and personal success? Before the cascade of branding crises, let's reel it back to Jennie 1.0, the It Girl era.
I'm inviting you to my special fantasy world.
Jennie Kim was born to be envied. Her lucky girl syndrome that created the perfect product market fit was both her gift and curse. Growing up in New Zealand and Korea,
I was raised in Seoul until I was 10. By the time we got to New Zealand, she asked me, how do you feel about living here? And I said, yeah, I would like that.
14-year-old Jennie decided to audition for YG Entertainment.
When I turned 15, I was deciding whether I should move to America. And I came back to New Zealand to pack my stuff, and that's when I realized I actually want to become a singer.
After being accepted as a trainee, her initial vocalist role shifted to the categorization of a rapper. She was the only trainee fluent in English at the time, along with her native Korean. As with physical brands, it's all about product market fit. And with unique advantages came unique opportunities. And hence, the lucky girl syndrome began, where she was introduced in 2012 with just 2 years of training on YG's official blog without even debuting, becoming YG's mystery girl. Then the same year, YG hard launched her on their YouTube video, YG trainee Jennie Kim, where she did a song cover. And immediately she appeared as the lead actress in G-Dragon's music video, That XX. For those who don't know the K-pop industry, G-Dragon is basically the Justin Bieber equivalent during his peak. Having a trainee as the lead was unheard of. But just then, again, 1 year later, Jennie gets featured in more artist videos, soundtracks, which creates this massive high expectation for her brand. People say that Jennie is YG's princess, YG's favorite, but I disagree. It seems nice on paper, but it's rather a curse. From a marketing standpoint, you don't just spend millions of ad dollars on a product that isn't ready to launch yet. Imagine you're trying to build the next version of the Apple Vision Pro in your garage. You don't even have half a lens prototype, while your loving parents say that you're the next Steve Jobs and decided to announce that to the whole world on the Times Square billboard, that you'll come up with something that beats the Apple Vision Pro next month. No pressure. Setting up overly demanding expectations was the first ticking time bomb to Jennie's branding crisis. Just look at Dua Lipa. being crowned as a Gen Z Madonna by GQ did her more harm than good. Girl was fine, just learning and growing. Of course, there will be ups and downs, but because of the anchoring framing that set the expected value up here, anything that does not come as close will be deemed a failure and be overly magnified. Hence, a good marketing principle to always keep in mind for your business and personal brand is product first, market second. And never, ever, ever overpromise anything you cannot deliver, because that breaks the trust that is so key as a life source of any brand. But with all these elevated expectations, YG was ready to show Jennie to the world.
I knew I could do it.
Blackpink debuted with so much traction and became synonymous with K-pop for years as a market leader. And of course, if you think of each member from a product design angle, this is what makes the brand so successful and marketable. Each member represented a specific trope in young women. The playful dancer Lisa, the sweet and pretty Jisoo, the elegant and vocalist Rose, and of course, the mysterious but intimidating rapper Jennie. Where for the female market, there is at least one person you can identify with, and for the male market, at least one of them is your type. The power of leveraging 4 combined audiences brought in the fame, prestige, money, and of course, eyeballs. But not all of the eyeballs were friendly. The bias culture in K-pop outlines a competitive landscape where people over-relate to their favorite idols to their personal identity, which for YG, all the better, because the deeper the parasocial relationship, the more LTV, lifetime value of a fan. But this is where the idols get objectified and become pitted against each other, even if they are in the same group. And Jennie's brand quickly became the magnet for negative attention due to these 5 branding weaknesses that you should assess in your own business or personal brand. How did Jennie become unlikable?
I feel like I've disappointed my fans at some point of my life where it seemed like I wasn't giving my best.
First, vague coolness.
When I'm off of stage, I'm very shy and quiet.
Jennie debuted as the cool, aloof member. Chic, expensive taste, but less warm than the other members. In the early stages of a brand, whether personal or a business, vagueness is dangerous. Because if people don't know your intent, they'll make up a narrative for you. This works in favor when there is already a positive halo effect, where mystery only leaves space for positive imagination. But in the case of Jennie, it kind of went the opposite direction. Because Blackpink was packaged as a group, standing out to be not like the others can be both advantageous in differentiation, but also risk higher criticism.
What is Jennie like? I am a very shy person. Even when I'm around my friends, I'm likely to be the quiet one. But I am very different from what you see on stage, so...
Her aloof, cool girl persona did not translate well into the high energy, synchronized world of Blackpink. Jennie's visuals screamed luxury minimalism, but Blackpink's visuals loud, colorful, sass, sparkle. Jennie's quiet and calm personality called for emotional, lyrical music that we will see in her Ruby era, but Blackpink's artistic direction was dance pop, energy, and more energy. Fans read her quiet confidence as arrogance, and she was accused of being cold, unbothered, and worse, ungrateful. With this framing in mind, fans began to pay even more attention. Why is Jennie getting styled better than the others? Why is she getting more camera time than others? Why is she always in the center? Why is she getting all the brand opportunities and be the human Chanel? This tension is of course what makes the fans invested, which is what's printing YG money, because negative attention is still intention, which means impression, which means relevance, sales, and so much more. And that of course escalated with a second factor of the branding crisis. Second, timing. No marketer can escape this as a blessing or curse. And for Jennie's brand, it was both. The debut of Blackpink perfectly aligned with the extremely high demand for not just a new group from YG, but also a new girl group. The last girl group of YG, 21, were the it girls of a passing era. They debuted in 2009, which means there hasn't been a fresh girl group from the company for over 17 years. Not to mention, YG cancelled a whole boy group before debuting Blackpink. This scarcity strategy meant that the escalated anticipation for fresh new sounds, new looks were higher than ever. Now that is wonderful for Blackpink because wow, were they a mega success since Boombaya and Whistle. But they released one ultra successful album, Square 1 and Square 2 in 2016, then just one single in 2017, then silence. And I mean silence. No major activities, touring, nothing. Now the invested fans are impatiently waiting, which through scarcity marketing would naturally make the next release all the more valuable and exciting. And it was. Broke many records. It was the first K-pop group video to surpass 1 billion views. It was a record for the most viewed music video by a K-pop group on YouTube, and as of January 2025, it has accumulated around 2.3 billion views. But the side effect was also elevated expectations and discontent from all the waiting. Now that anger has to go somewhere. And out of all sweet and gorgeous girls, one seems to have an RBF, a badass not giving a fuck attitude. Guess who has a higher chance of pissing people off?
Sometimes when I look like I'm really tired and angry, that is my happy face.
Media framing was everything. Selective editing, viral videos of Jennie dissing less than others began to go viral. Which doesn't help with her image of vague coolness. That makes her feel more distant, less relatable, and some may describe as an attitude of, I'm better than you. If you look at artists and brands that could survive a long time, Taylor Swift played the relatable card for over 19 years. 19 years. That is why she can still feel like hundreds of millions of fans BFF, even though she is a billionaire who lives a very unrelatable life. But the reason that she built this billion-dollar personal brand is that she leveraged personal branding so well. The relatable brand is her shield. You cannot hate what you relate in yourself. Whereas for Jennie, not only was she not very relatable, fans' high expectations turned her into a quote-unquote disappointing mean girl figure. And when the horn effect, a cognitive bias where an unfavorable first impression or a single negative trait leads to a negative overall judgment about a person, product, or situation, such as, oh, she's messy, she must be not that intelligent. This bias is the tripping stone of Jennie. Before we address the branding crisis of laziness, timing added another bullet to the brand. As more and more negative attention laser focused on her, calling her lazy, ungrateful, undeserving, mean, spoiled, guess what YG decided to do? Yep, not only make her go solo first, but straight out call the single solo, which alienates Jennie from the group, from the whole fandom. The launch was premature before helping her build the fundamental trust it takes to be a standalone brand first. It's as if McDonald's decided to break their burger apart and sell a single size of tomato before establishing that there is a strong demand for that piece of tomato first. From the business angle of YG, yeah, it makes sense. A controversial release will bring so much more attention. Whether it's fans watching or haters hate watching, a stream is a stream. Fandoms need villains, dramas to keep people invested. If they didn't exist, 99% of your favorite movies and TV shows would not exist. People just lived happily ever after since the first minute. And see, while this was a strategic move for YG, it really seems that Jennie was a pawn being sacrificed in the grand game plan, with a deteriorating brand image and constant loss of fans. Bonus business tip: if you want to apply this as a solo founder, a personal brand, or a content creator, start asking, am I just performing, or am I producing? Who owns the rights to my ideas? Is my audience invested in me or just the thing I sell? So despite how people perceive Jennie as the undeserving favorite of YG, I actually think quite the opposite. YG is like a toxic parent, farming publicity, earned media value without actually intending to protect her as an artist. But we of course need to objectively look at. Third, quality control.
I am pretty amazed at myself, but you know, that's how dedicated I am. That's how sincere I am.
When the whole world is expecting you or your business to fail, it really does not matter because what anyone else thinks is out of your control. But what you can control is how you decide to show up for yourself.
Why am I listening to the performance and I'm like, this is 90% backing track, 10% Jennie, huh?
But for Jennie, she didn't exactly meet the standard that YG set her up for and lost a lot of respect for her brand.
I love Jennie, but there was definitely something missing.
Quote, she's always tired and sick during Blackpink's tour performances, but she's always okay dancing during socialite events or parties with her Hollywood friends. Quote, she doesn't look tired, she looks bored. It shows on her face. Quote, she is a definition of a spoiled artist. Yes, there are a lot of claims out there that she had health issues, and rightfully so. The K-pop industry is a grueling experience that could break an average person's physical and mental health. But a brand is not how you see yourself. Jennie may have very much been giving her very, very best, but a brand is how you and your business exist in other people's minds. And that perception did not look too good, especially in a group setting where everyone else has higher energy and are more cheery. On top of which, her performances during her solo actually impressed a huge audience, which contrasted greatly with the lower energy performances on stage with Blackpink. Could be she recovered, could be because the set list is shorter, but regardless, the contrasted effort makes it a bad look. All of which made even worse by branding weakness 4. Western media versus Korean standards. While facing an escalating branding crisis in the Asian market, YG was like, don't worry, we'll just expand in a new market. And well, Jennie Kim also became the first member to be launched into Western media.
Walk power!
And it was not a pretty landing. Her role in HBO's The Idol was meant to be her breakout into Western pop culture. Instead, the show bombed. More than bomb, they had to reduce the episodes down and completely kill season 2. And the negative associations with misogyny, abuse were not assets you want to add to a brand whose targeted audience was teenage young girls. But too late, the Korean media was not very happy about the explicit scenes. Jennie got caught between two branding standards, the Western edginess versus Korea's conservatism, which to any business owner, not just in the Asian or North American market, it goes the same. Instead of avoiding problems in your existing market and thinking that the grass is much greener on the other side, no. The grass is greener where you water it. Breaking into a new market is costly and could be a good investment, but only if your existing market is performing well and can support any additional risk in a new market, because no two markets are equal. There are so many unknown unknowns that take actual experimentation to pay for the knowledge debt. And in the case of Jennie's brand, she couldn't afford paying that knowledge debt when in the existing familiar Asian market, her brand was already becoming more and more disliked. Which leads to the 5th branding weakness, luxury fatigue. Jennie is the embodiment of luxury. Chanel moves, Jacquemus campaigns, Calvin Klein girly, but when every appearance is couture and very curated, people start to ask, where is the real Jennie? Overbranding can make the even coolest aesthetic feel manufactured. The branding problem? Her brand started to feel more like a campaign than a person.
My collection of my Chanel jewelry and my Coco Crushes.
This is the exact reason why some brands fall off in the age of digital media. They are too focused on looking perfect. Where the native landscape of platforms like TikTok want casual and rawness, a multi-million-dollar commercial might not even generate a fraction of the ROAS of a highly engaging and funny UGC video. Just look at Ryanair and how their super lo-fi videos that get them free advertisement, millions of fans, and extra millions of customers and revenue. Whereas the highly produced and polished videos on certain brand pages don't get impressions, don't convert, and are so expensive to produce. All this to say, people like people. People like realness. While covering herself in luxury and becoming an aspirational brand, Jennie herself was no longer shown to the world. It is fine to play the mystique branding if there is a general positive sentiment to the brand, but pair that with laziness, rude, undeserving associations, which is a quality issue. All that luxury just further propels these unfavorable narratives to show how she is just lucky. And just now, out of touch. Jennie's real branding problem isn't that she is too quiet, too fashionable, or too privileged. It is that she is often perceived as unlikable. And in a world where likability equates to marketability, that's the one thing no public figure can afford. Whether you're a business or individual, you need to understand this one brutal truth about human nature: that people will praise and support you and your business until you surpass them. And this is a key, and if they do not relate to you. Truth is, people don't like others who make them feel bad about themselves. Just read Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Human Nature. Jennie violated at least 2 rules. First, her aloofness and luxury setup elevated her brand, but with a perception of attitude. It came across as, I'm better than you. Second, her solo was premature. When the majority of her brand was so tied to the group image, before enough trust was built for the Jennie brand, and especially when the negativity was the highest, going alone reinforced the I'm better than you message. Thus, people who identify with the other members through a parasocial relationship will take this as a straight offense to themselves. To summarize the unlikable girl era, what was Jennie known for? Always dressed in high fashion, didn't talk much during interviews, rarely posted online, didn't quote-unquote perform happiness the way idols are expected to, and what were the public perception? Too cool equals cold, too quiet equals ungrateful, too successful equals must be YG's favorite. The takeaway for personal and business brands: if you don't shape the narrative, others will do it for you, and they won't be too kind. Jennie's entire vibe has always been editorial, not emotional. That makes her aspirational, but not accessible. And in pop culture, especially in K-pop, people want both. Lisa is playful, Jisoo is sweet, Rosé is emotional. Jennie's disconnect made her being seen as a privileged, spoiled princess. There is a reason that Jennie is often compared to Victoria Beckham, Kendall Jenner. They are all icons whose success wasn't always matched with public affection. They didn't sell warmth. But here's the twist: the unlikable energy is also what makes her magnetic.
Which city did you live in?
Do you know any cities in New Zealand?
Of course. Wellington.
So here's how Jennie Kim turned one of the most hated brands in K-pop into a high-value brand through 2 strategies. Jennie 2.0, the humanization of soft luxury. Jennie had a great brand positioning. All she lacked was building trust. And since she lost that trust through A, being cold, B, having critiquable performances that didn't match the high expectations that YG set her up for, these were exactly the 2 areas to target. Just like building any product, you improve quality and increase the number of times people are exposed to that enhanced quality. Higher quality times quantity equals higher trust. Hence, let's start with the first strategy, the humanization process. Something changed. Slowly, almost quietly, Jennie let us in. She launched her YouTube channel, shared her morning routines, smiled more during fan calls, laughed, showed up in sweatpants, and just like that, the cold girl became, well, at least warmer. But here's the genius part: she didn't overshare. She didn't cry on camera or write a notes app apology. She was still mysterious. But now she was mysterious with a heart. This was strategic in 3 ways. A, controlled vulnerability. Vlogs give fans access without removing the aura.
Am I recording?
B, platform pivot. She chose YouTube, not Instagram. Long form storytelling over aesthetic curation. More than just a few seconds of aesthetic curation, the lawn and personal moments remove all the walls between her and the viewer.
이거 괜찮? 엔딩이어서.
And more than just building a parasocial relationship, it humanized her. C, styling shift from haute couture to soft girl luxury. Still Chanel called it, but cozy. Aspirational, yet weirdly relatable.
How my hair looks like when I get up, so excuse the hair.
This is called emotional calibration. Too cold, add warmth. Too bubbly, add mystery. Jennie didn't give us her whole personality. She just gave enough to feel like she's real. This is a strategy so key to many businesses today. Faceless brands are at a high disadvantage in today's landscape. We live in a world addicted to connection, not just consumption. In 2030, people won't buy products. They buy people. They buy the stories, they buy their beliefs, they buy the community. And if your brand does not have a face, the marketing will be just another ad screaming into the void? The answer is so simple and analogous to Jennie's story. First reason, no trust, no buy. People are skeptical. They've been scammed by dropshippers and disappointed by aesthetic brands with no soul. A faceless brand feels like a cash grab, and consumers can smell that. If I don't know who's behind it, how do I know if it's not just another AliExpress rebranded hoodie? Second, no story equals no stickiness. You can copy a formula, but you cannot copy a founder's backstory. That's what gives your brand a why, not just the what. No face equals no emotional hook. Third, no loyalty equals no community. A personality turns customers into fans. Think cult-like followings, not just conversions. Faceless brands struggle to build that level of obsession, which is why regardless if you like Mr. Beast or not, his chocolate and burgers sell. This is why Rihanna's Fenty Beauty made billions, why Cassie Blogilatti's Pop Flex has a fandom, and why even Duolingo's Owl became its own celebrity that championed the product.
Looked in the mirror, cool as a pear. God damn, I love my fluffy hair.
When you humanize a product, which in the case of the K-pop industry is the idol themselves, you are finally building a brand and not just selling stuff on Amazon. People don't want perfect. They want someone real to believe in. Lesson for the girls and the brands: when your audience starts to feel distant, reconnect, but don't overexpose. Relatable does not mean reckless. Now that we got over the quantity part of the trust equation, let's look at the second part of the equation around quality. Second success strategy: artistic ownership. A key misstep in Jennie's branding was inconsistent brand music sync, and this is beyond her control because as an artist under label, she was more so the product creation by YG, and so a lot of her natural talents and temperaments had to be trimmed or cut out or unrealistically stretched to fit into the mold of the group.
Jennie writes songs. Indeed I do. Yeah, hopefully you guys get to hear more.
Jennie's visuals screamed luxury minimalism, but Blackpink's music, loud, colorful, sass, and sparkle. Jennie's quiet and calm personality said emotional lyrical music, but Blackpink's artistic direction was dance pop energy and more energy. She became known for being lazy on stage, not because she lacked talent, but because her aloof, cool girl persona didn't translate well to the high energy synchronized world of idol performances. There was a disconnect between her personal visual brand and her group visual. You can be versatile, but if you're trying to sell high fashion while dancing EDM in neon fishnets, the message splits. But this has all changed since going solo. You can see this with her Ruby album. I was so surprised at how good the lyricism and melody were and how the songs sound nothing like her singing in Blackpink. This whole side of Jennie was dimmed before regaining the power to write and co-produce Ruby.
I want to create this identity for myself. Like Jennie wasn't doing justice for me.
And the numbers show. This Forbes article even said, quote, Jennie beats Blackpink and her bandmate Lisa with a new top 10 win, who is also going through her own branding challenges and wins. Like Jennie opens at number 3 on the Billboard. But most importantly, vanity metrics aside, streams, views, and even charts won't matter if it's just a one-off hit. The core power of a brand is not just measured by the views, likes, or even followers. It's through trust. Jennie finally achieved brand cohesiveness that turned her status from unlikable to untouchable. Why? Because no one can be more like Jennie than Jennie. She is winning at fighting the trust back, first from herself, then the crowd will follow. Being at the Ruby tour just a few weeks ago, I was very touched by the softness of her inner child coming out. From the set design to the performance to the entire aura of Jennie, obviously still with the hot girl energy from Blackpink, but now more holistic with the rest of her true self. It just felt like that she was more complete as an artist, as a person. It doesn't mean she has to give up her luxury aesthetic. It does not mean she needs to stop being quiet and sometimes aloof if it's in her personality. Whether it's lazy, cold, or weird, Jennie no longer corrects the public. She curates how she wants to be perceived and lets you catch up. She didn't rebrand by trying to be more likable. She rebranded by being more Jennie. And this, the real Jennie Kim, became likable. Trust me, I got to see the fans who were so invested in the Ruby core at the Ruby tour. It just shows how much they identified with Jennie's new brand direction. So the final boss of branding ownership. Not just in name, in product, in message, in power. Own the story, then own the structure. Jennie 2.0 is not your bestie. She's your favorite boss. She's not begging for approval. She built authority. She didn't chase the crowd. She crafted her corner.
I wanted to create something that was a little bit of everything for my fans to enjoy and every moment. So they can't get me out of their head.
So what are the key takeaways for business owners and anyone who wants to build their personal brand? For the business owners first, Jennie's rebrand isn't just a personality glow up. It is a business case study in narrative control, brand equity, and long-term positioning. And here's what your business can actually implement. First, when the market misunderstands you, reposition. Jennie didn't argue with the public, she repositioned herself. She didn't chase mass appeal, she tightened her niche. Strategy tip, if your customers don't get it, that is not failure. That's super valuable feedback that can help you 10x your business. Clarify your messaging, elevate your visuals, and own your lane. Second, exclusivity builds demand. Jennie limited her exposure to feel premium. That wasn't by accident. That was positioning. Strategy tip, stop trying to be everywhere. Curate where your brand shows up and how. Less visibility, more value. For example, just because all the other brands in your niche are advertising on meme pages doesn't mean you have to, especially if it diminishes your brand value. Less ad spend, but more conversion. Yay. Third, brand product must align. Jennie's early brand was luxury, but her group content, sometimes chaotic, colorful, or too mismatched. Founder-led brands need strong visual consistency. Strategy tip, whether you're running a DTC brand or a consulting business, every asset, your deck, your site, your social, your packaging needs to visually speak the same language. Additionally, if your brand looks like Hermes but delivers like Etsy, customers will bounce. Fifth, own the platform, not the moment. Jennie didn't stop at brand deals. She built her own creative label, her own creative house. That's IP, that's leverage. Strategy tip, if your entire business is built on platforms you don't own, which includes TikTok, Instagram, even YouTube, you're not building a brand, you're building risk. And yes, I am speaking this warning to myself. Start thinking about ownership. Your own site, your own product, your own name. And for the girls and men figuring out personal branding, here's what you can take away from Jennie. You don't need to be more likable. You just need to be more intentional. You don't have to be bubbly to be likable.
So fluffy, I'm gonna die.
You don't have to explain your every move. Let's break down what you can actually do, starting now. First, choose your perception before they do. People will put you in a box the second you walk into a room, the second that you post a story. Jennie's early mistake, letting the world guess. Second, create with purpose, not pressure. Stop posting for validation, start posting with alignment. Your feed, your outfit, your language, it's all signal. You don't need 100 posts a week. You need 5 clear signals about who you are and what you are about. Third, soft doesn't mean weak. It means smart. You don't have to over-explain, overshare, overperform. Show them just enough to be real, not raw. Vulnerability is a tool, not a brand. Keep it honest, not overexposed. You don't need to wait until you have more followers, more money, or a glow up to restart your brand. You just need to decide who you are and build every move around that. Branding isn't for brands only. Whether you like it or not, it is how the world perceives you. You can either leave it up to others or yourself. Jennie didn't fix the public's perception of her. She flipped it. Whether you're a founder, a content creator, or just a girl tired of being misunderstood, you are allowed to rebrand, not because you're fake, but because you've grown. And now it's time to look like it. So here's your homework for your personal or business brand. Open your notes app and write this down. First, what is one perception people have of me that I want to own instead of fix? Second, if I were a brand, would I invest in me? Third, audit your last 5 posts. What do they say about your brand? Rebranding is just self-awareness plus execution, but you have to have both. This wasn't just a Jennie deep dive. It was a masterclass in flipping perception into profit. So if you're building a business, a personal brand, or just trying to clean up your own image, remember this. They called her unlikable. Now they call her untouchable. And if you're Jennie Kim, only if you're Jennie Kim, if you ever want to be on the show, this couch is yours. Let me know what brand or guest you'd like me to have on the show next through the email list in the description. If you could share this episode with someone, you'd be giving them the greatest gift by helping them grow, and it's completely free to you. This is your marketing bestie, Zoe Unlimited. Episodes are on all podcast networks, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Have a lovely day, and I will see you next week.